Oh, it's a bike vid, so open your lids, kids. Oh, pump on the brake in the back caskets is a bike vid. It's time to stop a flop, cause your bike's in the shop, and the next best thing on the hold-on block is a bike vid. So open your lids, kids. Oh, it's time to switch gears and open your ears.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Bike Vids. On this episode of Bike Vids, what I'm trying to do is put together some tour footage from the week that broke Bike Vids, which was about 5 days of road touring from Santa Cruz to Pismo and back via Amtrak and some other public transportation, as well as a Sea Otter Classic race weekend. So yeah, I want to put together the first couple days of that trip: Santa Cruz to Big Sur to San Simeon, and let's see how it goes. I'll show you a bunch of neat footage from the road and kind of talk you through why. Basically, I mean, if you only have a limited number of days, you're interested in doing some stuff on the Pacific Coast cycling route, this could be your trip. This could be kind of the perfect trip for that. So let's check it out, and I'll share some thoughts and ideas along the way. Okay. Yes. Finally, on the road. If you've done any road touring or off-road touring or bike trips or adventures of any kind, and you're like me, the planning is, of course, half the fun, but then finally getting out there is just epic. And maybe we'll talk later, but I kind of had a rough 24 hours or less leading up to this trip, mostly because I screwed up some dates. And then I had some reservations, particularly with my loop back via Amtrak. And it actually produced a pretty stressful kind of previous 12 hours. And basically just thank you, my wife. Yeah, we're on the road. And so day one of what I'm kind of like trying to propose to you is maybe the best, if you only have 4 or 5 days to spend in the Pacific Coast and you're in California, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the best kind of bang for your buck. For me, day one is Santa Cruz to Big Sur, because I want to go through this rad stuff, but I want to also just get to the good stuff, as soon as possible. And that's like the beauty of the Big Sur coast, and that's why I think you get so much bang for your buck on this trip.
Dipping fables we've told, for blue skies we've held near, solid with no mass.
I am packing light on this trip. Again, another pro. Should I stop saying things are pros? Everything's a pro, I guess. From here on out, everything's a pro unless otherwise noted as a con. But I'm packing light because, we're in civilization. We're in beautiful nature. This is actually, I think the Amtrak will actually cruise over that bridge. But we're not in some outback situation. I mean, I'm just even bringing just 2 regular-sized water bottles. There's water everywhere. You could get some. There's food everywhere. There's all the things everywhere. And even though I'm camping, I'm packing super, super light. So day one is full of adventures. I mean, you get to go through the awesome agriculture outside of Santa Cruz in the Watsonville area, which is just so fun to ride through those fields and see where your yummy veggies come from, heading into Monterey. And then once you get to kind of the Carmel area, you're on your kind of final stretch to into Big Sur. I've kind of mentioned in maybe previous videos that I like to be warm. I don't know how I put it, but I have this thing called Raynaud's syndrome, where basically my hands in particular and feet, but it's really, I don't want to say debilitating, but in the hands, when I'm doing activities like just, in the morning, if I'm not keeping warm and keeping gloves on, like even like right now, I'm in like basically kind of like pain. It's very uncomfortable. Your hands, like, I don't know, I'm not a doctor. Has to do with some arteries. I don't know. Either way, like, it's basically as if you're in the most freezing cold temperature possible, even though that's not the case. So anywho, like, it could make doing like tasks that require dexterity, it could make them difficult. And so far, I've just been trying to kind of cope with that by, basically dressing warm, trying to stay as warm as possible. But maybe that's for another episode of Bike Vids. I mean, even though I practically rode 100 miles on day one, and again, you could totally split that up. But you could also spread it out. I tend to kind of not ride party pace while I'm touring. I like to kind of like go for it. Well, go for it's not right. I push the pace a little bit. And you could spread that 100 miles out. What I would do differently, again, I'm kind of alluded to the fact that I was kind of stressed and had a lot of things pop up at the end. I should have literally left probably, 2 to at least 2 hours earlier. But yeah, I mean, as soon as you leave where I stayed in Big Sur at a private camp resort called Fernwood, which is way more money than a state parks campsite, but has such great amenities and is real pretty. As soon as you leave there, it's like, bam, yeah, I'm gonna get all this epic beauty, but it's climby. So I'll put all my Stravas below, but you're gonna be doing some climbing pretty much all day to our next stop in San Simeon. Surprisingly, like, traffic super light, and also 0 other bike tourists that I have seen on this trip. But when I do see them out the last couple times I've been out on the road, whether kind of around here or other places, one thing I've noticed is the propensity for folks to be what I guess I would judge as way overpacked, and then they'll like see my setup and be like, wow, you don't have much stuff. But it's like, well, what stuff, what do you have? What is all that stuff? The bottom line, to packing is people bring what they want to bring, and that comes at a kind of cost benefit, to those choices, and all of those choices have a consequence. But, again, on a trip like this, you don't need all that stuff because you're in civilization. But maybe people like to bring lots of technology or other things. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. Something I commonly see, like I said, there's this climbing, and if you're hurting, that could distract from the beauty of everything you're trying to do is go out here and just explore this awesome place. So I have witnessed like people kind of struggling on some of these hills and climbs. Of course, just general fitness or training, but clearly losing 10, 15, 20 pounds from your bike pack could also make some of these hills, and in general just bike handling, more enjoyable.
Well, you stopped instead, but you didn't think to pray. Now you yell, you scream, you yell hooray. Say Rubberneck, show us the new way.
I was watching, I don't know how much of it I'm gonna end up showing, but like I did some footage of like me making my morning coffee and stuff, and I just noticed how many times I'm like just picking things up and putting them back down in a certain way. I'm basically kind of like kind of highly, like a little bit neurotic, or OCD, and this is a form of therapy for me. This is about physical health. Well, physical and mental health are 200%. That's 100% more than 100%, are 200% connected. And so when I'm doing this, like, I'm also just trying to remind myself, like, hey, you're friggin' in a paradise right now. As my wife has said to me, this is a privilege, a big, big privilege to get to be able to go out and, make this happen. So this is therapy to me. This is literally like what keeps me sane in life here at Bike Vids. I should have got some pictures, but an awesome place to refuel between Big Sur and San Simeon is a little town, I don't know, called Gordo, and there's there's a little market there and stuff. So again, you're not going to be without. But a mistake I made last time was not, after getting to San Simeon, was not going into Cambria, even though this requires a few more miles. I think it's maybe 5 or 7 miles round trip. Totally worth it, because it's basically the difference between eating like gas station food and real food. And so please, if you do this, drop some shit off at the hiker biker, and then cruise in with some empty bags, nice lightweight bike to Cambria, and go to the grocery store there, go further down, not to the like little one that looks like kind of like a little country shack. Go to the actual health food store and get an actual like legitimate meal. And guess what? You'll probably go by there the following morning on your way to your next destination. Oh, good morning. Here I am, day 2. Haven't done a lot of, or any live verbal check-ins. I'm in San Simeon. San Simeon might be called State Beach Campground. Not like, the best hiker-biker in the world, but it's always very comforting to know that there's a hiker-biker spot waiting for you in a state park. So, I'm stoked. Unlike Pismo, that doesn't actually even have a hiker-biker, so you have to actually reserve a site. Anywho, it's a beautiful morning. The weather has been amazing, and you could see it's just been gorgeous. It's probably the nicest time I've ever been out here. I've got a pretty bad sunburn on my legs yesterday, but with aloe and sunscreen, which I actually have had the whole time but didn't use, I'm sure I'll be fine. Enjoying my morning coffee. I love my little titanium cup. Only reason I have a stove is to make water for coffee. That's pretty much it. I have the MSR Pocket Rocket. This stove canister, this fuel canister, yeah, it it doesn't need to be this large, but it was open and used, so I'm trying to use it. Today's, and really everything. The big days of riding, obviously Santa Cruz to Big Sur, but it's a long day, but so I don't know. I think worth it, but there are options. And then just yesterday is a hard day of riding from Big Sur. When you leave where I stayed, as soon as you turn right onto the Highway 1, it's pretty much climbing, and there's some epic descents. But it was a hard day. I have already done this morning some stretching and went on a little walk. I'll do basically that again before I leave. I'm in no hurry. I did not really do enough kind of warming up yesterday. Feeling it in the glutes, you know. But it's good. It's good. It's beautiful. This is, I just, you know, keep telling myself, like, it is just, everything is all good here. I haven't seen zero other cyclists. Well, I mean, like bike tours. So maybe I'll see one today. I doubt it. I mean, if I was going to see one, probably this is the kind of prime spot. Anywho, peace. Hope you're doing awesome, and hope you're enjoying the episode. This you put on the cup so you don't burn your lips, because titanium gets really hot. It gets hot fast, cools down fast. Yeah, delicious, question mark. I was gonna go with steeped coffee this time. I actually bought some and tested some, but it has to steep a pretty long time, and I was worried the water would get cold, but now I think that was ridiculous, so I'm using the old-fashioned instant coffee, but, you know, kind of wishing I had the steeped. Anywho, peace. Nice, folks. Maybe we should leave it at that for now. Day 1 and 2, Santa Cruz down to Big Sur and then San Simeon. What I'd honestly, like to do, as I'm kind of just thinking about that, I'd like to talk about this. Like, let's talk about this. You know, like, are you curious in doing some short touring on the central coast of California, the Pacific Coast cycling route? Like, let's get a conversation started. So I hope you enjoyed this little snippet of my tour, and we'll see you for part 2, where I head down to Pismo, San Luis Obispo, and talk about fast forwards and Amtrak and the other things that I used in the tour. Okay, we'll see you guys. Bye.